A former NFL player becomes the quintessential tall, tough guy. A star trades his badge for border terriers. And one cadet transitions into a lifelong Santa Claus. The stars of Police Academy moved on to other things, but which of them were bigger or better? Keep watching to find out. Steve Guttenberg was already gaining plenty of traction in his screen acting career, thanks to films like Diner and TV series like Billy, by the time the role of Carey Mahoney in Police Academy came to him. Guttenberg's lovable, scoundrel performance in the film helped make it a hit, and helped launch him into some of the biggest films of the 1980s. Throughout the rest of the decade, he starred in 3 Police Academy sequels, as well as Short Circuit, Cocoon, and 3 Men and a Baby. He continued working regularly in the 1990s in comedy and family films like The Big Green, Home for the Holidays, and It Takes Two, and in the 2000s he won a role in cult favorite TV series Veronica Mars. Today he continues acting regularly, and in 2017 he started appearing alongside Dwayne Johnson in the HBO series Ballers. In 2002 he moved behind the camera, making his directorial debut with an adaptation of James Kirkwood Jr.'s play P.S. Your Cat is Dead. By the time Police Academy arrived in theaters, Kim Cattrall had already co-starred in one classic of the 1980s, playing a somewhat infamous role in the 1981 comedy Porky's. As Cadet Karen Thompson, she got to become a little more of a fully fledged character, which led to more high-profile films throughout the rest of the decade, though she didn't return for any of the Police Academy sequels.
Why? Because it's exciting, it's different. It'll give me a chance to meet interesting and unusual people.
Cattrall followed up Police Academy with roles in Big Trouble in Little China, Mannequin, Star Trek VI: The Undiscovered Country, and more, but the role of her life was yet to come. In 1998, she was cast as Samantha Jones in the HBO comedy Sex and the City, and her performance as the sex-positive, outrageous member of the show's key foursome made her a fan favorite. She remained with the show throughout its 6-season run on HBO and later returned as Samantha for 2 feature films. Since Sex and the City ended, she has continued working regularly, including roles in the TV series Producing Parker, Sensitive Skin, Modus, and Tell Me a Story. George Gaynes' screen acting credits already stretched back nearly 30 years by the time he was cast as Commandant Lassard in Police Academy, and his work included roles in Columbo, Washington, Behind Closed Doors, and Tootsie. Playing Lassard brought Gaynes a new level of visibility for 1980s moviegoers, and it was the first step toward a new level of stardom. That new stardom also included a leading role in the sitcom Punky Brewster, in which he played Henry Warnemont, and voiced the character again in an animated spin-off series. Between Police Academy and Punky Brewster, Gaynes became an icon of 1980s pop culture. He continued working regularly throughout the 1990s with roles in The Days and Nights of Molly Dodd, Hearts of Fire, and continued to play Lassard in all 6 Police Academy sequels, as well as a brief appearance in the TV series. By the end of the 1990s, Gaynes had largely retired from screen acting, and his last appearance was a brief role in the 2003 comedy Just Married. He died on February 15, 2016 at the age of 98. Michael Winslow started appearing in films in 1980 and co-starred in 2 Cheech and Chong films before Police Academy rolled around in 1984. As Cadet Larvell Jones, Winslow's incredible talent for generating seemingly any sound effect with only his mouth made him one of the standout stars and cemented his place in the pop culture of the 1980s. Winslow continued to play Jones in every subsequent sequel. He also returned to play Larvell Jones as a police sergeant in the Police Academy TV series in 1997. Outside the Police Academy franchise, Winslow has kept busy ever since, with roles in The Love Boat, Spaceballs, Harry and the Hendersons, and more. Unsurprisingly, he's also a gifted voice actor who has loaned his talents to the New Kids on the Block animated series, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, Robot Chicken, and more. He's also a stand-up comedy performer and released a concert film in 1999. In addition to acting, Winslow is also a musician who has released his own music and collaborated with acts including Run the Jewels and Victor Wooten. Before Police Academy, Leslie Easterbrook was best known for playing Rhonda Lee, the neighbor of the title characters of the hit sitcom Laverne and Shirley for its final 3 seasons between 1980 and 1983. As Sergeant Callahan in Police Academy, she played the tough-as-nails woman in A Man's Job who also had a secret side, and while she didn't return for Police Academy 2, she did reprise her role for the remaining 5 sequels and the TV series. After Police Academy, Easterbrook continued working regularly, racking up dozens of television appearances in the 1980s and 1990s, including guest spots on Murder, She Wrote, Hanging with Mr. Cooper, Hunter, Matlock, and Baywatch. In 2005, she took over the role of Mother Firefly in Rob Zombie's The Devil's Rejects, and since then has become something of a scream queen, appearing in horror films including Zombie's own Halloween remake, The Afflicted, and Sorority Party Massacre. G.W. Bailey was already an established character actor with guest starring roles on St. Elsewhere, MASH, Goodnight Beantown, and others when he was cast as the brutal Lieutenant Harris in Police Academy.
You people are going to hate my guts for the rest of your lives. I am going to make you sorry that you ever came here.
He continued to play Lieutenant Harris throughout the Police Academy franchise and has worked regularly ever since. Among Bailey's numerous screen credits are the films Short Circuit, Mannequin, and a voice role in the animated Home on the Range. He has appeared even more frequently on television, including the miniseries War and Remembrance and the series The Jeff Foxworthy Show, Murder, She Wrote, American Dreams, and The Closer. In The Closer, he played LAPD detective Lieutenant Louis Provenza for 109 episodes, then crossed over into the TNT drama series Major Crimes, where he played the character until the series ended in 2018. David Graf spent several years working primarily as a guest actor on episodes of various TV series before he was cast in the career-defining role of Tackleberry in Police Academy. Tackleberry, a gung-ho security guard who couldn't wait to join the police force and seemed to always be armed and ready to shoot something, was a key archetype in the original film and became one of the franchise's most recognizable characters.
Son, where did you get this gun?
My mom gave it to me.
Graf returned to reprise the role for all 6 sequels, and co-starred in the Police Academy television series in the late 1990s. Graf continued working regularly in film and television throughout the 1980s and 1990s. In 1986, he co-starred in the short-lived sitcom He's the Mayor, and in the 1990s and early 2000s he appeared frequently in TV series including Seinfeld, Home Improvement, Step by Step, and Star Trek Deep Space Nine. He was also an accomplished voice actor, appearing in series and video games including Ah, Real Monsters and The Wild Thornberrys. He died suddenly from a heart attack on April 7, 2001 at the age of 50. An imposing figure, but a lovable guy, Moses Hightower is probably the most memorable and beloved character from the entire Police Academy franchise. It's the signature role of Charles Bubba Smith, an NFL star in the 1960s and 1970s who pivoted to playing tall, tough guys on sitcoms and in movies. Following Police Academy, Smith reprised his role in 5 sequel movies and the spin-off TV show, co-starred on short-lived shows including Blue Thunder and Half Nelson, and turned in appearances in Taxi, Heart to Heart, Married with Children, and Coach. In August 2011, 66-year-old Smith was found dead at his Los Angeles home. According to the Los Angeles Times, the LA County Coroner's Office conducted an autopsy that concluded the actor died of an overdose of weight loss medication and also suffered from blocked arteries, high blood pressure, and an enlarged heart. Police Academy is notable for having not only an ensemble of likable hero characters, but a similar ensemble of unlikable villainous characters, including Scott Thompson's cadet Chad Copeland. Thompson, who before Police Academy also appeared in another 80s classic Fast Times at Ridgemont High, hasn't appeared in as many Police Academy installments as some of his co-stars, but he still reprised the role in the 3rd and 4th movies. Thompson has continued working in film and television since the franchise. His TV roles include Star Trek The Next Generation, Hunter, Parker Lewis Can't Lose, and True Blood, while his film roles include My Summer Story, Night of the Living Dead 3D Reanimation, and Greater. He also matched Police Academy with an appearance in one of the most popular films of the 1990s, playing the classical music blaring storm chaser preacher in Twister. After a couple of sitcom and soap opera gigs in the late 1970s, Marion Ramsey finally found a breakout role as the squeaky-voiced and deceptively powerful Cadet Laverne Hooks. She made her debut as Hooks in 1984's Police Academy, and went on to reprise the role in 5 sequels, becoming a firm fan favorite. She didn't appear in the final Police Academy movie, 1994's Mission to Moscow, because producers couldn't find a place for her character. This came as bad news for Ramsey, who was going through financial troubles at the time. She would ultimately take out a loan from Police Academy co-star Bubba Smith, who dropped out of the film over Ramsey's omission. Ramsey would ride out the 90s and early 2000s, with small parts and voice acting work popping up on Beverly Hills 90210, Robot Chicken, and the animated TV version of The Addams Family. Her last role came in the musical docudrama When I Sing in 2018, preceding her death in 2021. She was 73. Captain Reed, the one-time boss of Cadet Mahoney's father, sets the plot of Police Academy in motion, offering Mahoney a choice of punishment for his crimes. He can go to prison, or he can go legit by joining the Academy. Actor Ted Ross, best known for his Tony Award-winning work as the Lion in the Broadway musical The Wiz, and its 1978 film adaptation, played Captain Reed in the first Police Academy, but he didn't return for any of the sequels. He wrapped up a long career in show business not long after the film's 1984 release with appearances in Arthur II on the Rocks, The Cosby Show, and The Fisher King. He retired from acting in 1991 and moved back to his hometown of Dayton, Ohio. In 1997, he opened a jazz club called Your Place, where he'd perform on occasion. After suffering a stroke in 1998 that left him homebound, Ross died at age 68 in 2002. Donovan Scott's screen acting career began with a number of smaller roles in films before he was cast as Leslie Barbera in Police Academy. Like Cattrall, Scott was one of the original cast members who did not return for other installments in the franchise. Since Police Academy, Scott has worked regularly in film and television. His film roles include Savannah Smiles, Splash 2, and Blast from the Past, while his TV roles include Life with Lucy, Alaska Kid, Babylon 5, Boston Legal, My Name is Earl, and many others. In recent years, Scott has taken a liking to playing Santa Claus and frequently appears as Santa in various films and television series. His many Santa appearances include episodes of Frasier, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, The Middle, Life in Pieces, and Superstore, as well as TV movies like North Pole Open for Christmas and Santa Switch. The character Mr. Wig, played by Don Lake, makes a brief but important appearance in the first Police Academy movie. It's his car that Carey Mahoney wrecks while working as a parking lot attendant. After Police Academy, Lake established himself as a recognizable character actor, becoming a familiar face with appearances in a number of major comedies. Lake was a member of the troupe associated with the mockumentaries of Christopher Guest and co-starred in A Mighty Wind, Waiting for Guffman, Best in Show, For Your Consideration, and Mascot, while also popping up in Terminator 2 and Return to Me, which he co-wrote with frequent collaborator Bonnie Hunt. Lake wrote for Hunt's talk show and sitcom Life with Bonnie, and they played the parents of Officer Judy Hopps in Disney's Zootopia. More recently, Lake appeared on Space Force as incompetent General Brad Gregory. Cadet Doug Fackler is responsible for some of the wackiest antics in the first Police Academy movie. He's played to perfection by Bruce Mahler.
Does the radio bother you? 155. I could turn it down.
After his screen comedy career was launched in earnest as a member of the cast of ABC's late-night sketch show Fridays, Mahler played Sergeant Doug Fackler in 4 Police Academy movies. He went on to play some small parts on TV and in movies before finding his second recognizable role, Rabbi Glickman, a friend and counselor to Elaine Bennis on Seinfeld, with his other notable role coming in Friday the 13th, The Final Chapter. He hasn't been in a feature film since 2000, preferring instead to spend time with his family and raise Border Terrier dogs. Portraying Cadet Kyle Blanks in Police Academy was the first feature film work for actor Brant von Hoffman, and he returned to the franchise for 1986's Police Academy 3 Back in Training. He'd dabble in film and television over the next 2 decades, showing up in the films Rustler's Rhapsody, Blast from the Past, and Dudley Do-Right, and on the TV series Home Improvement, Arliss, and Arrested Development. He hasn't acted on screen since 2004, having moved into a career as a writer. With his brother Todd von Hoffman, the former actor wrote 2 humorous pop culture compendiums, Big Damn Book of Sheer Manliness and Bigger Dammer Book of Sheer Manliness. Chief of Police in the unidentified city of Police Academy, and then later Police Commissioner, Henry Hurst is the institutional antagonist of the franchise, at least initially. He's adamantly against his mayor's idea to open up the Police Academy to a wider variety of candidates. He hatches the plan to make them all quit, but after it doesn't work, comes to appreciate the new cadets. The acting career of George R. Robertson is notable for 2 things: portraying Henry Hurst in 6 Police Academy movies between 1984 and 1989, and for playing politicians, both fictional and real. Robertson was President Davis in Senior Trip, Senator Barry Goldwater in The Reagans, and Vice President Dick Cheney in The Path to 9/11. Robertson stopped taking on as many roles when he reached his 80s, with one of his last roles coming in the series Haven. Cadet George Martin's main arc as an officer isn't one of finding a job or personal purpose, but one of romance. He's ditching his relentless pursuit of as many young women as possible in order to get together with trainer Debbie Callahan. Andrew Rubin was a seasoned character actor by the time he played Cadet George Martin in the first Police Academy, a career peak that followed stints on 70s TV shows like Mary Hartman, SWAT, The Odd Couple, Shazam, and The Jeffersons. After Police Academy, Rubin landed main cast parts on the short-lived drama series Hometown and Joe Bash, then walked away from acting for about a decade to head up multiple nonprofit and humanitarian organizations. In 2015, Rubin died of lung cancer at the age of 69, according to The Hollywood Reporter. The main bad guy of the original Police Academy movie is never given a name. Instead, he's a common, intimidating, leather jacket and beanie-clad street thug caricature officially listed in the credits as main bad guy. The part of main bad guy was played by prolific character actor and bit player Doug Lennox, who returned to the series in Police Academy 3 Back in Training to portray Axe Murderer. He notched a few dozen credits in his time, most notably popping up in X-Men, Lars and the Real Girl, and Against the Ropes. He appeared in numerous television shows produced in his native Canada, including My Secret Identity, Night Heat, Top Cops, and Due South. Also a radio host and an author, Lennox died in 2015 at age 77. Violet Fackler knows that her husband Doug has a tendency to slip up and create mayhem. In one memorable scene from the first Police Academy, she jumps on the hood of her husband's car to prevent him from driving to the Academy sign-ups, only to get hurt in the process. Police Academy is an iconic 80s movie, and Deborah Lee Scott was an iconic television personality in her day. She made frequent appearances on the celebrity-powered game shows of the era, including Family Feud, Match Game, and Password Plus. As a young actor, she appeared on The Love Boat, had a recurring role on Welcome Back, Kotter, and she also played the title character's sister, Kathy Shumway, on the soap spoof Mary Hartman. Scott's career came to an end not long after she reprised the role of Violet Fackler in 1986's Police Academy 3 Back in Training. She focused on her personal life and became engaged to New York City police officer Dennis Levi, who died at the World Trade Center during the 9/11 terrorist attacks, according to Contact Music. Scott's family reported that the tragedy sent the retired actor into a depression that led her to drink heavily, which resulted in cirrhosis of the liver. Scott died in April 2005 at age 52. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Looper videos about your favorite classic comedy actors are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.